And at 3, here's how tight we be coming. At 3:49 this morning, he texted me and said, "Brother, I'm on the way." To John King, who is the, hey John, good to see you, brother. Um, when this first happened, these brothers, we wrote a letter to the governor asking for the immediate arrest of the perpetrators on that day. And so you have legislators throughout the state, throughout the nation, who are keenly aware of what's going on in this moment in time. And so for those who I didn't thank, I will see y'all later, and I'm sure y'all let me know that. But thank y'all for being here. Getting right to the point, on February 23rd marks a dangerous and infamous day in the course of Georgia history. A day when a young black man was going for a jog, and a few assailants decided that they would hunt him down, corner him, and murder him. In a time where that should not be happening in the United States, and certainly not here in Brunswick. But that day is just a day in a long history of atrocities that have happened in this country. Atrocities that have been going on for 400 years. And so although that day marks perhaps an infamous day in the course of human history, let us be clear that enough, and that day marks a new beginning for America. Today, as we move into this new beginning, I want to talk a little bit about where we are as it stands in the General Assembly and what we're asking the governor to do, members of the General Assembly to do, compadres in the Senate, and the Lieutenant Governor. And so if y'all will bear with me for just a minute, there are 4 things that we're asking today. Number 1 is that the governor remove the DA Barnhill and DA Johnson. And that if it's appropriate, that they be charged with criminal obstruction. The second thing that is on our agenda is that House Bill 426, which is commonly known as the Hate Crimes Bill, that we amend that bill in the Senate, and that we amend it, and from this point forward, it be named the Ahmaud Arbery Hate Crime. And if we're going to amend this bill, we need to go ahead and amend some other things as well. Number 1 is we need to get rid of citizens' arrest. If we're going to amend the bill, you have to get rid of citizens' arrest, because we can't have this happen again in this country, and certainly not in the state of Georgia. The second thing that we would ask them to do is we have to look at, in a real way, what does it mean for the gun laws, the open carry laws that we have in this state? Now, I know that's going to be controversial, and I'm not saying that it'll be attached to this bill, but we got to think about that as we move forward. A citizen's arrest has to be abolished in this state. The third thing that we absolutely need to have is that we have to create a culture of caring. As we think about a governor who would have a commercial where he gets a shotgun and says, we're going to round up folk and take law into our own hands, we can't deny that that sets a stage for folk doing foolishness like they did. And so we need to be very careful about how we do what we do, and let's get rid of this culture of dog whistle politics. And lastly, the thing that is most important in this moment is that we do this for the family, that we acknowledge them and give them the space to grieve. Because if they don't have the space to grieve, we know that the city of Brunswick has been through a lot, and this family has been through a lot. But let's give the family and the citizens of this community a space to breathe where we do the people's business. And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Lester Jackson.
God is good. And all the time. I would like to acknowledge a few people before I begin my message. First, my colleagues from Chatham County. Craig Gordon, who took time out to come with us today. Nikki Stevens, who is still ill, and my good friend Carl Gilliard. The Chatham County delegation is strong in support of this legislation and this cause we're here today. But also I'd like to thank personally the members of the Senate Democratic Caucus who stand unified in support of a hate crime bill. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to Bishop Reginald Jackson. Bishop Reginald Jackson. Because it was him in 2017 that approached the state capitol with a list, with a number of ministers throughout this state talking about we need hate crime legislation. He talked about we need justice. I come before you today in my capacity as chairman of the Senate Urban Affairs Committee to call upon the governor to suspend from office the first 3 district attorneys who terribly mishandled the murder of Arbery Ahmaud. They did not do their job. I don't know if you heard me. They did not do their job. No one can argue that they mishandled justice. No one can argue that they mishandled righteousness. No one can argue that they did the family wrong. They did not do their jobs, and that alone disqualifies them from being able to continue to hold office. The integrity of public service is at stake here in coastal Georgia. The integrity of justice is at stake here in coastal Georgia. All 3 district attorneys have lost the confidence of millions of Georgians. Millions of Georgians will not feel safe anymore, protected under the law of these individuals. We cannot allow them to remain in office. These individuals, these DAs did not do their jobs. Today, I call upon Governor Kemp to appoint a special oversight review committee to begin the process of removing these district attorneys from office. Failure to do so would leave the fox in the henhouse. They did not do their job.
Thank you, Senator. In the interest of let's make clarification, I'm all the way in support. Those 2 district attorneys. The 3rd district attorney, Tom Durden, moved it to avoid an indictment in the grand jury, so I don't want to include him in this. The 2, District Attorney Barnhill and District Attorney Johnson, we certainly have to deal with, not Tom Durden. He got us headed to an indictment and had them arrested immediately after he got the call. But we've come today, gathered here, and we thank each of you that have come. And it was just an oversight just now, but Senator Bobby Powell, who's chairman of the Florida Legislative Black Caucus, is here. Senator, raise your hand. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Let me say, as we conclude this, that we're standing ready to move forward. We want justice. The items that have been discussed, 426 must pass, and we must deal with citizens' arrest power that has turned into vigilante agreement. There is no place for lawlessness and vigilantism. There is no way that I've got to be terrified every time one of my 5 sons are out, just because they happen to be African American. This, President Barack Obama said, that this is the United States of America. That counts everybody, all of us that are here, red folk, black folk, brown people, Indians, Jews, Gentiles, and Protestants. The United States of America is great because great people rose up against tyranny. And now is the time to hear from great people as we rise up. We're going to ask that immediately after, and we're closing this press conference, we're going to ask elected officials first. We have room for 35 people. We're going to ask our legislators first, of course, our mayor, members of the county commission, to meet us in the commissioner's meeting room. where we will be able to speak a little longer. We realize that all we've said and done here today, somehow these good folk gonna break it down to about a 2-minute sound clip. And so we don't want you to miss the whole message. Members of the press will be invited as we delve down a little bit. But in the jury assembly room in this building, thank each of you. Let me tell you this. Those of you that are not elected officials and don't have titles, don't think we don't know that you're the reason we're here. And we owe it to you. We serve because of you. I wish we had seating for 200. Everybody could get in. But we don't. You have asked us to come. And we will also have a proclamation inside from the city of Atlanta. A proclamation will be read. And I wanted to recognize, and I left my other notes in the car. Y'all know I don't speak from notes, but they sure remind me of what I should have said. The state president of NAACP is here, and would you raise your hand? And this is our state president. You need to be out here where folk can see you when you get recognized. Come on down here. Now, who is the local president? Dr. Perry. This is Brother Woodall. Dr. Perry is here, who is the local president of NAACP. They've done yeoman's work. This local branch has worked over and above. I had a chance to listen to him last Wednesday when he presented the demands of the local. They have done a great job. But let me tell you this as we close. That's just two closes, folk. I'm Baptist. But as we close right here, thank you for those preachers in this community. I see a young lady who did the invocation last week. I can't recall her name, but thank you for your involvement. Thank you so much. Pastor Mark Baker was there. Thank you so much. And I've got to personally thank Cedric King. Without Cedric, couldn't have pulled this off. We have talked 5 or 6 times a day. Thank each of you. God bless you. I hope we've shared some information to let you know your legislature is not blind and we are not deaf. We are working based on what your needs are. Let's go into the jury room. I'm going to. And press, if you have some questions, please come in. We'll be glad to answer them in there. Louis, where are you? All right, but come on in, press. I'm going to have to clear folk to get in. All right. Hey, former Speaker Mayor Pro Tem of the Senate. Good to see you, Eric Johnson. Good to see you, my friend.